Good afternoon. This is the My League Online MyLO informational webinar. We are starting exactly at 12 o'clock here in California for Pacific Daylight Time. And welcome to all of the League members from across the United States who've joined us here today. Thank you for coming to our webinar. Just to let you know, all of our attendees are in listen-only mode, and we will be asking that for your questions, you use the chat box. On the right hand, you'll see a square box with some options. You'll go to the chat section, click the little arrow, and down will come an open text box you can put your questions in. We have up to 50 attendees today, so we have to keep it in the mute only and make use of the chat box. You can also raise your hand. There's a little hand raising option there if you're having trouble with the chat box, and we'll try to get to you after some of the chat questions have come through. And once again, thank you for joining us for My League Online. We are an open sourced website platform using all kinds of fantastic technology to help you engage your communities at large. We have over 100 different leagues across the United States that are currently using MyLO, including the League of Women Voters of the United States. So to talk a little bit more about MyLO and to give you a tour, if you will, to show you the back end and how easy it is to use, we have two of our most favorite people online here. We have Rain Michaels, who's the tech guru behind all of this amazing technology. And we also have Amaris LeBron, who many of you have probably already met for information and or who is our customer service lead for this project. We will be answering your questions today. And again, we are recording this webinar so you can look at it at a later time, or you can share it with potentially the decision makers in your league about joining the My League Online family. So my name is Elizabeth Leslie, and I'm the communications manager for the League of Women Voters of California. And we, in fact, are the holders of the project MyLO, and you may remember its predecessor, LU, League Easy Web. And so this is a much more robust system. And with all of that, I'd love to turn it over to you, Rain, so you can start showing everybody around the site. Rain, are you ready to take over?
I am. Thank you for the introduction. So let's go ahead and get started. I look forward to your questions throughout, and we'll be taking a look at those when we are able to take breaks. So on my screen right now, what I have open is the sort of intro page talking a little bit about My League Online on the LWVC, the California website. So this gives you a lot of information about how to register, as well as some links for documentation. We're going to leave this now, and we're going to move over to MyLO itself. And we're going to start with, actually in that view, I'm logged on. So we're going to start with a view. If you come to My League Online as just any person not authenticated into the system, you will end up on a landing page that will give you access to a number of leagues. These are all league websites that have gone live on My League Online. So you're able to look through these leagues and see what they're doing. There are a number more that are going to go online soon, but these are ones that are public and available for anyone to take a look at. And so you can click on any of them and get a sense of what they're doing and how they're using it and get inspiration. So I'm going to go ahead and click us over to one of these so that you can take a look and just see roughly what this looks like. So when you come to any one of these leagues, they will have a color scheme that matches league branding. They'll have the league logo and the league fonts. And when I say the league logo and league fonts, I mean the logo and font styles and branding styles that come from the National League of Women Voters. So you as a league don't have to think about the sort of branding guidelines because those are already built into the system itself. We also start you out with some generic content that you can make use of. And then from there, you can customize what happens within your site. We also give you a significant amount of documentation to go along with some customer support, which you get from us, and Amaris is the sort of first face of that, and she's wonderful. So this documentation page here contains some links that will tell you the story of sort of how to make use of My League Online. how to format your content, some of the options that are available, what to do about email options, what to do about your old site if you are archiving something and moving away. And then we have a lot of webinars, and then we have a huge amount of documentation available here that you can search through if you know, for example, that you're looking for information on how to work with Facebook. You can type in the keyword Facebook and then do a quick search, and it'll pull up any posts that have anything to do with Facebook. So these are some of the resources that are available to you as a MyLeague Online user. The other resource, of course, is when you do reach out to us, we will often try to link you to documentation pages if you didn't know that they were already available, or we will create documentation pages as needed as well. So with all of that said, let's come back up to the top here and go back to this landing page. When you first come to MyLeague Online, as any human being, you are what's called an anonymous or unauthenticated user. That means that the site itself doesn't actually know who you are. And that's why up here you're seeing these username and password fields where you can go ahead and log in or you can register. If you are a webmaster and you've signed up with MyLO for a MyLO site, you will be given a username and password from the team, and that will be unique to you. And this is very important for security purposes. Everybody's account is meant to be unique to them. Every single webmaster should have their own unique account, and then within the system, we give you as an individual permissions to access whichever league you're meant to be a webmaster for. And this enables us to help with security. It enables us to track how your account is being used. If, for example, your password is compromised, we will be able to block your account or reset your password so that whatever compromise took place can be quickly mitigated. And then we can also track if somehow your account is compromised, we can very quickly track the activity that occurred and then revert that activity if needed, so that there's a high level of robustness. And for that reason, it's very important that everybody have their own account in MyLO if they're going to be logging in at all. And by that, I mean you wouldn't want to have a general account. LWV Los Angeles does not have an LWV Los Angeles account. Instead, there's the LWV Los Angeles League site, and then each person who has any edit permissions or webmaster permissions for the LWV Los Angeles site has their own logon that they use individually. And then their role within that can be upgraded or downgraded as needed based on their involvement. When you log in, you'll log in using these fields here, or you can go ahead and register if you want to register, but you won't have webmaster privileges on a site until you're given those privileges by an admin user. Or if you forget your password, there's also a forgot password resource. But once you do log in and put that information in, and then your interface looks a little bit different, not significantly different, but a little bit different. You'll notice up here at the top now, the username and password fields have changed to my account and log out. And then over here on the left, I have the league sites to which I have access. So this gives me quick access to the sites that I'm considered a member of. And then I can click on those and I can start editing them. I'm using, by the way, you won't see this masquerade element. I'm using a fake account that I created for the purposes of demonstration, and I'll be using, for showing you how to work with the tools, I'll be using a fake league that I've created that's a demonstration league only. But what I also do want to show is management of your account. In our documentation, we do have information on how this actually works, but also if you click on my account, this particular fake user doesn't have much going on in here, but you can edit your account in order to change your password. You can add a picture. In the future, we're looking at potentially adding features where members come front and center. So this gives you the ability to add some of that information that you might actually want displayed if there were a bio or something like that associated with your account. So this gives you a little bit more of a ability over time to be present as a user in the system. So with all of that being said, that's kind of roughly how you manage your personal account, how you might change your password. If you are a webmaster for a league, you do have a certain amount of access to manage other people's accounts. You can, for example, so I just went to one of the leagues that I'm an admin for, and I'm going to click on this link right here, Administer League Site, which opens up a menu for me. And one of the options that I have is Manage Members. As a webmaster, this shows me all of the people who are managers of the demo local, or sorry, not managers, members of the demo local league. And it does expose to me, again, this is as a webmaster, their email address and their phone number, and then their name and whether or not they are an administrator of the league, meaning do they have league webmaster privileges or not. So there's a mix of people who are just members who have access to what's called members only content, and then people who are actually full-on administrators. And I can go ahead and upgrade or downgrade these administrators as well if I want to turn them into webmasters. So this gives you the ability to make it a little easier to have multiple people involved in the maintenance of your website. Let's say you have somebody who's specifically responsible for any content that has to do with a committee, or somebody who's volunteered to make sure that all of the events stay up to date on your league website. This gives you the ability to give them the ability to come in and add that content or make use of those tools and be part of that contribution. So that's basically your account. That was one of the first things that we wanted to kind of talk about is how do you log in and how do you manage your personal account? Now that we've talked about the personal account, we're going to move on to talking about how we manage our local league. So as the administrator or the webmaster of the demo local league, I have a lot that I can do with this league as it exists. And one of those things, or pretty much all of the things that I can do, are indicated to me with this menu here, this Administer League Site menu. Just so you know, over time, we are improving the user experience, and the look of this menu is probably going to change slightly, but it'll become easier. It won't become harder. So the way that it will change will make it a little bit more obvious to you over time. For now, though, if you're coming in with a new league website, first of all, when your site is set up, you will have a site that has a certain amount of default generic content within it that you might want to go in and edit. And then you'll also have access to all of these links here under Administer League Site. Manage menu is what refers to this menu over here in this particular display. It's up on the top. We have a number of different ways that this can display. Let's go over here. If we go back to Los Angeles, you'll see that the menu is here on the left. Let's go to another one. I think Fresno has the traditional theme. So let me get over there. Yes, so Fresno has a more traditional theme. And so this is one of the options as well. And this shows you another way that your menu can look. Your menu itself is the same thing in every instance of, oops, wrong thing there. Your menu itself is the same thing in every version. These are just what we call themes or skins, ways that things might display. So there are a few different choices that you have that you can make use of. The demo local league that we're showing you is one that we use to show what a top menu looks like. So that's the one that we're looking at right now. So if you decide that you want to manage your menu, it will give you access to manage the links in here, including reorder them. Let me show you an example. So if you look at this right now, we see advocacy, join, renew, news. Let's say we wanted this join, renew to be the very last item because we felt like that would make it a little bit easier for us to see it. So if we wanted to do that, we simply go to manage the menu and then we take the join, renew link, we drag it down and save that configuration change. And then if we come back to our league page here and reload, you'll see that join renew has now dropped over to the far right. So that was an instantaneous change. Given the amount of time that we have, I'm going to go ahead and move on. But this is one of the things that you would definitely want to do is explore the options that are available to you and how they work, and also compare that to what you find in the documentation itself. What I'm going to move on to now has to do with kind of the housekeeping elements of your league site, of your specific league site. Excuse me. So most of the work that you'll do for your league will happen in this Administer League Site menu. But at a very high level, when you're on your league landing page, you may also have some changes that you want to do there as well. First of all, there's your contact information for your league down here in the bottom. And this contact information gives you, it's determined by some of the settings that you have on your league landing page. The other thing that's determined by the settings that you have on your league landing page are what other leagues your league is subscribed to for content. And what does that mean? So any league that's on MyLO, the content from that league is exposed in a way that other leagues on MyLO are able to quote unquote subscribe to it so that it can automatically show up on their league page as well. So for example, if you are part of Los Angeles County, but you're not a Los Angeles league, you may want Los Angeles content to show up on your local league site, or you might want California content to show up on your league site. And you'll also potentially want, you'll possibly want national content to show up. And where these show up will be under news and events. And then I believe we've, yes, and also your action alerts. So here's an example. This local league right here does not have any current action alerts of its own. However, it is subscribed to action alerts from California and from national. So those action alerts are showing up on this local league site because of that subscription. The same thing will happen with events and positions, and then also news, announcements, that kind of thing. So you can have that content show up automatically and give your league a sense of activity and action, even if you're not able to log in on a regular basis. So let me show you how to do that in case this is something that you're interested in doing. On your landing page, so right now I am on my demo local homepage, and I know that because I have the slideshow up here at the top, and I have this kind of river of news of content that's been what we call promoted to the front page. If I click on New Draft right here, it's going to give me the ability to start editing a lot of the content within this page. But I also have these collapsed items right here, and in these collapsed items, one of my options, first of all, there's league contact information. That's where you would set that information that shows up in the footer. But you also have subscriptions right here. And in here, you can start typing in. So let's say you did want Los Angeles, you could start typing in whatever league you wanted to subscribe to. Let's say you want Hill Country, not showing up because I'm probably typing it wrong. So let's just go with Torrance is good. Oh, you know what, I think because it's not fully out yet, and Akron. So if you could be all over the place, not that you really want to be, but you can set up these subscriptions to whatever leagues you want, and you can also remove those subscriptions so that the content doesn't show up on your league. So that's one of the really helpful resources here because it can give you a lot of activity. Now, one of the big questions that we do get a lot from our users is, I'm not seeing content coming from National. I know I'm subscribed to National and I don't see the action alerts because I got a newsletter from National. I saw some action alerts in National and they're not showing up. The reason for that is because the content itself has to be on My League Online, and National is selecting which action alerts or articles or other elements that they are putting onto My League Online. So if there's something that you want from National that isn't automatically showing up, then your best bet is to either reach out to milo@lwvc.org and just say, hey, I was really hoping that this action alert from National was going to show up. Can you please ask them to add it or find out if there's a reason that they're not adding it? Or you can simply add it yourself until they put it there. That's up to you. But my recommendation would be to nudge them and say this might be one that you actually do want to post and find out if there's a reason why they're not posting it. The way that you can double check whether that's the case or not is if we actually go to the National League. So if we go back to that main landing page and we scroll down to District of Columbia, the US, LWV US shows up as a league. And now I'm in the National League right now and I'm seeing the content that National has on their MyLO page right now. So they do have a couple of action alerts that are currently public. So actually they're not public right now. They're still promoted, or sorry, they're not active right now. They're still promoted to the front page because we do intentionally keep inactive things on the front page. And you're probably wondering why we do that. We do that because people might want to promote something long after it's been active in their front page space. And that has been what we've found is a useful feature. So if it's promoted to the front page, it'll show up whether it's active or not. But if I click on action alerts, what I find is that there are no active action alerts at this moment from LWV US. So that's why no action alerts might show up in your feed from LWV US if you're wondering. And that's how you would check that and see whether or not something should be showing up. So that being said, I know that we wanted to cover creating an article and using the media library insert, and I believe that there's some interest in looking at how the calendar works. So we can kind of do a lot of that at the same time. And I'll move on to that. Elizabeth, do we know if there are any questions specifically about what we've already covered before I move on to demonstrating how the calendar works and how articles work?
I don't currently have any questions about what we've gone over, but maybe people need to digest that. But the specific question about the calendar when you get there is how to have a monthly calendar rather than just events for the next week. And I know that you're going to cover shared events, as well as the importance of using a social share on your events. With that, I was trying to take up a little speaking time to see if we had any additional questions about what we've already covered, and I don't see any. So I would continue going. I just want to remark on two things. One, don't worry if you're not picking up all of this right away. In our chat box, I put the MyLO Beginner Essentials, the sort of steps you can follow. So this is really just so you can familiarize yourself. There's guides for you to look at later. Also, I wanted to remind people that when you receive your template website to start working in, there is already template content on many of the pages that is real content. So for example, on this demo site, you're seeing some, fake content, the Latin content here. So there will actually be real league content that you can edit, but it is still very good in speaking with one voice and all of our good branding. So I just wanted to make sure I pointed that out. I do have a quick question here that we can probably get to quickly. How do we change the menu from the vertical side, top, to the horizontal? That would be a request to us, and we would do that. The same answer is changing the theme. Contact us, and we'll help change your theme to the one of the ones of your choice. And then, whoa, we're getting a lot of questions at one time. Can you switch between desktop and mobile views? I will throw that out there. And then I think that's enough questions for the moment, Rain, and I'm going to mute myself and let you go through those, and I will get through some of these chat questions.
Okay. So Elizabeth, can you help me remember to come back?
Yes, I can.
Rain, are you able to?
Thank you. Thank you.
There we
I
go.
wasn't unable to mute myself. Thank you very much. Okay, so when we come back to the, or I'm going to ask that we come back to the switching between desktop and mobile. There are some tricks to doing that. Those are kind of more browser tricks that I'll make sure to try to show towards the end. So please help me not forget to do that. All right, so yeah, to answer or to just reiterate what Elizabeth said about switching from the side menu to the top menu, and or switching from the red and blue to the purple and gold theme. The switch to the purple and gold versus red and blue, that literally is the click of a button. The switch to the top menu is more involved, and the top menu is currently only available in the purple and gold theme. So it is helpful for you to be aware of that. And now moving on to talking about the calendar itself, because that is kind of a tricky answer as well. So the specific question that came up with the calendar is, how do you switch from the list view to a view that is a monthly view? We specifically did not provide a monthly view for accessibility purposes. We are working very hard to make this system as accessible as possible. And the table-based calendar view is very difficult from a usability standpoint when it comes to considering anyone with vision or mobility considerations. It's also a challenge when it comes to looking at your content in a mobile environment, because the mobile environment is very small. So for those leagues that really want the calendar display, what I will say is that you could make use of, say, a Google Calendar and embed a Google Calendar if you wanted to. And we also do have it on our kind of long-term feature list to look at ways of providing an accessible monthly view. But that is a very involved process. So I just want to make sure that that's clearly understood, so that anyone going into this will have a sense of what might be involved. So looking here at the events and how the calendar itself works, when you are creating an item for your calendar, you are using the add event content. And as with any content, I'm just going to open this in a new tab so that we can easily switch back and forth. As with any content, the forms are very specific to the type of content that you're creating. So as you're adding the event, the fields here will hopefully guide you through the process along with the help text of what you want to add, what actually needs to be added, and all of the additional information that you can provide within here. One of the things that I do want to point out is that you can reference other content, and by referencing other content, two things happen. One thing is that reference content will show up on your page. So for example, these issues, a lot of these issues were provided either by national or by California, and they do have a fair amount of information already associated with them, along with links to the National League and where that issue is described on the National League. So by selecting these references, you are automatically creating a relationship between that content and your content, which helps both in terms of creating a unified voice, but also helps in terms of search engine optimization, because the legitimacy of the content because of those relationships is increased significantly. The other thing that happens is that then there's sort of an aggregated space where all of the content from all of the leagues that has to do, for example, with increasing voter registration is aggregated into one place, so that somebody could actually go and say, what are leagues across the country doing for increasing voter registration, and that can become a resource as well. So we like to encourage you to cross-reference other information. Another thing that you'll see, and this is relevant to all of the content as well, is this differentiation between public and private. You can set up your content to be available only to members. And different leagues are using that to mean different things. Some leagues have decided that they're not going to bring members, to give members, sort of their general larger group of members, access in an authenticated state to their league website. So everything that members need is all made public. And then instead, the people who are able to log on to the league as quote unquote members are only board members. So those leagues are using it to provide, say, board specific content. Content that needs to be kept private, maybe because it's got directory information or something like that in it. Other leagues are actually using it for members only data to, for example, make content available to all of their members. So this is how you can do that. If you are interested in doing that, I definitely recommend that you reach out to Amaris for some guidance, and then you also look at the help documentation so that you understand how the members only content really works. But it is a powerful resource that California is actually currently working on making use of as well for their members only content. So it'll be great to see more people making use of this. So moving on then, the other thing that you'll see here on all of your content are these options here: promoted to front page and sticky at top of list. And I do want to make sure that you know what that means. Let's go ahead and go over to news here, because I think I have some, no, I don't have any items. I have subscribed articles that are sticky. Let's go to home and see what I have here. So promoted to front page means that something is actually showing up on the front page of your league, the front page being your landing page, what people go to when they go to your individual league website. There's what we call a river of news of content. And that is content that you specifically said, I actually want to send this content to the front page, which then features it. Sticky at top of list will move that content to the top of the display. So by default, unless it's an event, it's displaying in reverse chronological order from when it was posted, so that the most recent content always shows up at the top. When it comes to events, they show up in the order of the events. So the next most upcoming event is the one that shows first, and then future events show further down the list. But if something is made sticky, and this includes events, if anything is made sticky, then it will rise to the top in its particular list of content, so that it breaks that natural flow of the order, and it says this particular item is more important. And you'll see here that we've also given it a border to give it a little bit of special treatment. So those are tools that you have both on all of your content, both on your articles and your events themselves. The other thing that I want to point out here that's really important and that you'll want to pay attention to the documentation on is moderation state, and where it goes into draft state initially. All of your content can be in both. Let me go to a specific article here. Let's see, here's an article. All of your content will be in a specific, it will be in a published state when it's visible to the public. And that's why you're seeing view published. If you want to edit that content, you could click on new draft and start making changes. The changes that you make, let's say I want to add a 2 to the title, and then I'm going to add, let's see, I'm going to add, here is a button here. Let me highlight that. I'll make it a button. And then I come down here and I go ahead and say added button. I'm going to leave the moderation state as draft. Go ahead and save it. And what you'll notice here is I'm looking at this, I see my button, I see all of this content in this particular article. What I'm looking at right now, though, if I look down here, I'm looking at the draft version. The public still sees the published version of this content. So the public won't see my edits. The button's not there, for example, the article title is still the same. The public will not see my edits until I'm ready to publish those changes. So if I go back to this draft here, I can publish the draft right from here, or I can also go into this moderate tab right here and I can see the history of this content. So I can go through the entire history of the content and see what happened with it, who created it, who I might want to talk with before I do something to that particular content. And then I can publish it from here. So this is also a very powerful resource, and it gives you the ability to feel a little bit more comfortable about making mistakes, because if you do make a mistake, you're not going to necessarily have to live with that mistake. You can revert that change pretty quickly. All right, so that being said, that gives you a little bit of insight into how you can work with your content. But let's take a look specifically at articles, and we'll go ahead and create a new article. I think I'll try to take about 5 minutes to do that. And then we can hopefully leave time for questions unless Elizabeth directs me otherwise. So I'm back on the League landing page now, and I'm going to click on Administer League Site. What I want to create, I'm going to create an article that I'm going to promote to the front page, and I'm going to make that article sticky. I just closed all of those other tabs. So my articles are automatically going to show up in the menu item that I've called News. You could call it something else if you wanted. You could call it Newsletter. You could call it Articles. You could call it Announcements or Blogs. Blog, it doesn't really matter, but it's going to show up in there. So if we look at this now, we see our articles listed. And then if we look at our homepage, the very first item that we have is this sort of strange action alert that's in Latin. And that's what's there. And then our first article here is this test article that I was just playing with. So under Administer League Site, I'm going to say Add Article. It's going to take me to a form to start working on the article here. So I'm going to call it Live Presentation Article. And we'll just put the date, July 16 or 17. I'm not really sure anymore. We're going to call this a blog post for fun. And then now I have some options. If I had chosen a different category, for example, if I'd chosen a member spotlight, I could link it to somebody's profile. If it's a press release, then I put in the date, or if it's a press mention, the logo and the link, I have those options if I want. Those are classification elements. And then from there, I can also choose what I call a main image and an alternate hero image for the article. These are, it's useful to really read these and try to kind of understand what the options are. These are here to give you a certain amount of flexibility. So what's going to happen when I click on Browse is it's going to take me into the media browser. From here, I can upload content of my own if I want to. If I have a brand new article, or sorry, a brand new image that I want to upload, maybe an image of people in my local league doing something interesting related to that blog post. When I upload the image, I do have to confirm whether or not I want to share it with all leagues, because the media in the media library is designed in such a way that you will hopefully be able to make use of images and content from other leagues that might be useful to your league so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel all the time. So I get to choose, do I want to make this particular item available to all the leagues for use or not? And then I also have to verify whether or not I own copyright for that image. So those are some of the things that happen when I upload a new file. But I can also make use of these tabs here. My Leagues files will show me all files from that have been uploaded by people in my leagues. My files will show me all of my files that I, as an individual human being, have uploaded. All files will show me all of the shared files throughout MyLO. So these are images, PDFs, any files that have been uploaded into MyLO that are meant to be available for anyone to make use of. And there are ways to search for these images as well and find ones that that you might want to use. So let's say, for example, you're specifically looking for images having to do with the environment, or you're specifically looking for images that were intended to be good for slideshow. So I can go ahead and select that I want to see slideshow images only, and then I can click apply. And now it's going to show me images that have been uploaded that people thought were good for slideshow images. So let's say I really want this volunteer. Actually, I'm not going to use that one right now. I'm going to use this action alert graphic right here for the main one. I'm going to select that and click submit. And it's going to pop that right into here with the alt text and everything. So I don't even need to worry about accessibility because all of that's entered when it's first uploaded. I'm also going to add what's called an alternate hero image. So the main image is going to go with your article. If it's shared on Facebook, it's going to be in the list view for the article. But the alternate hero image, if you want that to be different from your main image, it can be. And I'm going to do that just to show you what that looks like. I'm going to go back to slideshow images because I want that volunteer one that I saw. That one looked good. I'm going to grab that. And then that's going to pull this one in for me. So it'll bring it in from the media library and I don't really have to worry about it. Now, if I actually want text in here, let me grab some text. And I just crashed my computer. No, I didn't. Okay, good. That was concerning. So now I can add body text to this. I can format that body text if I want to. Let's say I want these two items to be a list. And if I want to put a header in here, let's see, I'll just make this quickly a header. And then if I want, I can also add more files right in here. I can add images in here. This button right here will pull up the media library as well. And that will enable me to add images, what we call inline. There's more here about embed codes and other formatting and attaching other media that we've talked about on other webinars. So I'm going to skip those because those can take up time to explain, but certainly reach out with your questions. You can add tags. You can relate this to issues the same way I was showing with events and positions. And you can even set whether or not this is public or private content. And then you will typically only be a member of one league, a webmaster of one league. So the league that you're a webmaster of, that will automatically be checked off. But if you happen to be a webmaster on multiple leagues, then it will show you those, it'll show you all of the leagues and you'll have to choose which league your content belongs to. And then from there, I'm going to take this straight to published right away. I am going to promote it and I am going to make it sticky because I want to show you how it looks in the different spaces that it shows up. Other options that you have here, you have meta tags that can be used for things like Facebook. We do have documentation on how to do that. And then we also have this item up here in body that says edit summary. And I'm going to click on that and show you what that means. This is what shows up in a teaser only. And then let's add just a little bit more Latin to this for fun. That's way too much. And I'm going to select that. Okay. So, I'm going to do one more thing because I really like when people do this. So I'm going to highlight this first paragraph here and choose under styles. I'm going to choose special so that this first paragraph has kind of a different look from the rest of the content. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and scroll down. I did keep this as published. I want it sticky, I want it promoted, and I'm going to go ahead and save it. If I didn't want it published right away, if I wanted to work with it for a while or have somebody else look at it first, then I would just leave it in draft state, in which case, as a webmaster, I and any other webmaster would be able to look at it, but the general public wouldn't be able to see it. So now we have this article. Note that these items up here, this clone and these buttons are only visible, and this created message here, those are only visible to the webmaster. They won't be things that your general public will see. But here's that paragraph that we made look special. There's a little bit of formatting that I might want to kind of adjust a little bit because the header has a lot of extra space under it. So I'll probably want to fix that, but we can see that formatting. We see this volunteer graphic right here. And what I also want to show you though is if I go to the articles page here, I'm going to reload this. Now that article shows up at the top. Notice it has that yellow on it because I made it sticky. And if I post something new that's not sticky, this will stay on top because it's sticky. You'll also see that the image that's displaying is different because I did differentiate those. And you'll notice that the text that's showing up here, so this is what shows up in a teaser only, is different from the text that shows up here because I've decided to use that summary and put different content in there. What I do want to make sure that you're aware of is that by default, this can be changed if you want to. It's a little bit more advanced to change this. But by default, if somebody shares this to Facebook, so if somebody uses this share link or simply copies the URL and goes to Facebook, this is the content, this image, and this teaser is the content that will go to Facebook or Twitter or any other space. So that's also at the easiest level how you control what goes there. Now we also promoted this to the front page, so I just want to show you what that looks like as well. All right, so here we are on the front page for our demo local site, and there's our blog post right there up at the top. So that's how I've controlled the article. I've determined what might go to Facebook or Twitter, other social media. I've promoted it. If I no longer want it showing on the front page, I do have to unpromote it. I can do that by either going to the edit itself and editing it, or I can also do that by going to my full list of content. So under Administer, there's Manage Content, and this link will show me all of the content for my local league, which includes the article that I just created, and I can go ahead and edit it from here. I can also do what's called a bulk operation. So you'll see this thing right here, which can be a little confusing sometimes, but is incredibly useful. And it's called operations. So if I check off multiple items, and in this case, I'll just check off one, then I can choose what's called an operation, and I can choose to unpublish something or demote it or unstick it. So let's go ahead and demote it from the front page, and I'm going to click Execute. It's making that change for me. That change has now been made. So at this point now, if I go back to that front page, I'll reload, and it no longer shows up. So events, action alerts also behave the same way. Those do have to be manually removed from the front page, even after they've passed their active state, because there are leagues that occasionally really want that content displaying on their front page after the date has passed. So that's why we've left it that way. That's kind of a very high level. I would love to talk with you more about things like newsletters and such, but that's probably better for a different conversation. because we do only have about 10 minutes left. And Elizabeth, I know that we want to leave some time for questions.
Yes, sorry, I had to unmute myself there as well. Yes, you've done a great job. Thank you so much. And I know we just got a comment from Peggy Harwood that she hasn't been a webmaster or website administrator before, and it's covering a lot of ground. Absolutely it is. And link that I put in chat, and I will put it again here for you, about beginners will totally help you follow along with some of the steps that you need to take. And don't forget also, you know, so much of the template content is already there when you start your site, so you're not starting with some blank. And again, you can go through that beginner's essential list. And you can also, you know, seek our documentation, and there's videos. So it actually shows you how to do it, and you can hit pause and make sure you're doing it the right way. You also can even call us. I know that sounds crazy, but you can call us and we will help you. I also put that number in chat. And if you're having an issue or something seems broken, you can also email us, and that email also in chat. I'll repeat it out loud. It's easy to remember. MyLO@lwvc.org. And one other final tip is, you know, we're only as good as our peer group, right? So the leagues are doing such amazing things. And so we have a peer group listserv, which I posted a link to, which I highly suggest joining. Even we get ideas from what other leagues are doing. For example, the different ways in which people are promoting and showing off their observer corps. Everyone is doing it a little different from Texas to Florida. So I highly suggest joining that group and taking a look to see what other peers are doing or ask for advice. It's a great way to do that. I did get another question here. I don't know if you covered this or not, Rain. I might have missed it, from Barbara, about can you switch between the desktop and the mobile views?
Oh, yes. Thank you for reminding me. I was going to do that. So that's a browser. Those are kind of browser tools that you can make use of. And let's see, Google Chrome. Yeah, I believe it's Google Chrome. So in Google Chrome, if you open up, and I forget how you do this because I always do it with the key command. So is it View or Developer Tools? Oh, I always do this with my keyboard. So anyway, in Google Chrome with the Mac keyboard, it's Option Command I. I think with Windows, it's probably Control Option I. Then you bring up what's called your, you've got this web inspector that comes up. And in there, again, this is Google Chrome, and different browsers do it a different way. But in there, you actually have a toggle that will switch it between the views for you. And that's this toggle that looks like two different devices right here. So that sort of shows you what that looks like. And hopefully that answers your question. The other option that you have, which is a little bit imperfect because of the way that breakpoints work, but the other option that you have is to literally make your browser window larger and smaller by dragging it. The reason why I say that this is a little bit imperfect is you'll see that some things don't, you know, there's certain heights that are associated with things based on their sizes. So when you drag it like that, you would then also want to reload it afterwards so that the heights adjust appropriately. And I think in this case, we have something else that's causing that. Yeah, we have this massive text right here that's causing that to happen. But that's something to be aware of as well. And there are other extensions that are out there that can be used as well.
So I want to just cover a couple other quick things as we're nearing the top of the hour. One of those things is that I did put again in the chat, but you can find everything you need from our one webpage, which is lwvc.org MyLO, including how to pay, how to contact us, the documentation, how to look at the different design styles, how to look at examples of other leagues so you can get an idea about what you might want yours to look like. Also, we have a question here, do you need a mobile app? You do not. I think you might be referring to, do you need a mobile app to use and edit in the site? No, you do not. It's a desktop publishing, although you can edit from your browser. I've had to do it on occasion when being away. It's just very, very tiny and a little hard to do. So I think that answers Jane Caffrey's question. If not, please ask that question again. And again, if you have questions about paying, again, and how much it costs and all of that, we do offer a content migration package where you can pay a little bit of extra money from the fee, and we will move your content over up to 15 pages. Also, something else to note is that we offer regular webinars. We are only as good as our users, and we want feedback from you. If there's a feature you'd like to see, please email it to us to the MyLO at lwvc.org email, and we'll add it to our list of feature requests. We are really user-based, so if there's something that's not working for you, please tell us and we will do our best to resolve it. Of course, we are limited only by time and financial resources, but we will do our very best. We answer all calls, emails, tickets, questions in less than 24 hours, so there's no problem there. Jane does write back that yes, that was her question. So no, you don't need a mobile app to use these items. And I'm going to go to our attendee list just quickly and see if anybody, I see there's one person with a hand raised who must not be able to use her chat question window. So I'm going to unmute one person. Hopefully it doesn't unmute everyone, but I'm going to call upon Nancy Agan. Nancy Agan, if you have a question, please go ahead and talk right now. Nancy, can you hear us? Maybe Nancy pushed the hand raised on accident. So I'm going to remute you, Nancy. Maybe you didn't do that one on purpose. So again, we have customer service all of the time with several different people in several different ways to get a hold of us. So please utilize those different ways. And in regards to the webinars that we offer, we do have one coming up in August, on August 6th, and that's going to cover Google Analytics. You'll see that there is a way to track the visitors that are coming to your website by adding your own Google Analytics code. This is really the way that you go from better to best in your website design and outreach. We know that you're going to perform well in Google, but this is really going to show you how well. And if you have partnerships with other organizations or the media, it's going to show if they've actually been a good referrer to you. So again, that's the documentation, but also in the chat box for the Google Analytics resource. And I do have a question from Sherry Rain. Can you restate the answer about how and when you can embed a Google Calendar?
So yes, Google Calendars can be embedded at any time, and you can embed code from any, really anything that offers a third-party embed. Just keep in mind that third-party code, you don't necessarily know how accessible it is, you don't necessarily know the quality, and and sometimes things change. So here's an example right here of third-party embed code that's here. This is from Instagram. But on any of your pages, if you wanted, for example, a Google Calendar above your event feed or on its own page, what you would do is create a page. And then when you're embedding something, basically you create your body content up to the point of that embed. So you'll write whatever you want to write, put in that information. You've got it formatted the way that you like. And then the point where you want that embed dropped in, down here is this option here. You'll click on Add Third-Party Embed Code. And this will create a little HTML field for you that does have a little bit of text in it that you'll want to delete. This is instructive text, and it's actually there in order for us to keep it in the full HTML format. So it is there for a reason. So then you will paste your embed code, whatever that is. So, whatever brain script, whatever you've got from YouTube, Google, PayPal, Eventbrite, MailChimp, anywhere else. You can put whatever it is that you've got in there. And then if you want more formatted text following that in your page, then you would just click on Add Additional Formatted Text, and it'll give you another field that looks like this, where you can add more formatted text below that embedded content. So this is how you can get a document that's a little bit more rich and layered. Let me show you, we actually have an example in Demo Local of this happening. It is in this event right here. So what we've got here, this isn't actually a Google Calendar, it's a YouTube embed, but the concept is the same. So we've got this image up here first, and then we've got our body content, and then we have a Google embed code, and then we have more body content following that embed code. So this is just plopped into one of those fields. The disadvantage to using Google Calendars for your events is that then your events aren't made, you may not remember to replicate those events on your league site. So then they can't be necessarily promoted to your front page or something. So if you want to be able to sort of show them off in a bigger capacity and have them be part of those syndicated features where the like content about a singular issue can be aggregated in one place, or other leagues can subscribe to your events. If you want whatever it is that you're creating to be accessible in that form, then even if you do put it into Google Calendar as a Google event, you will also still want to create a version of it in your site as well.
Great. Thank you so much, Rain. And considering here that we are past the top of the hour, I want to be mindful of people's time, and I don't see any other questions with the exception of a clarification question from Sherry, who's saying, thanks, Google would be an addition, not replace. I think she's talking about Google Analytics. That is correct, and that would be an addition. And I just want to give another quick shout out just about our program in general. This is the recommended website project program and software from LWV US. We highly recommend using this. Our leagues have shown huge increases in traffic. With a big shout out to LWV Texas. So if you want to see how to do some interesting things, you should check their site out. They're very inspiring. Again, you will receive a link in your email to this webinar. So you will be able to show it with other people, share it with other people, or watch it again if there's spots that you need to watch again. And as a last reminder, the place where you're going to find all the information, including how to pay, documentation, the listserv, and the beginner steps, all can be found in one place on our website, lwvc.org/MyLO. And you're welcome to call us at 916-442-7215. And you can ask for either Amaris or Elizabeth, and we'll be happy to help you. Again, thank you so much for being here today. It's about 3 minutes after the hour, so we're going to wrap up our webinar. Thank you so much, Amaris, for being here. You're amazing to work with, as are you, Rain. Thank you so much for helping our leagues have such a strong online presence. And that's a wrap for today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.